I'm entering this log for the record. This is Random Random Man, and this is my movie review for The Martian. You know what? This is ridiculous. It's too dark in here. I need to put some clothes on. Whew, this is much better. What is up, everybody? Random Random Man here, bringing you my review for the film adaptation of The Martian, which stars Matt Damon and a huge ensemble cast, and is directed by Ridley Scott. Now, the plot, which of course is based off of the novel of the same name and is written by Andy Weir, follows astronaut Mark Watney, played by Matt Damon, as after a man-made mission to Mars accidentally leaves him behind, Watney is stranded on this desolate planet and not only has to find a way to survive if he wants to leave Mars, but the team that left him behind and NASA are out to help bring the Martian home. Now, I do apologize that this review is a week late, as last week I saw another movie that came out in wide release, and I've been waiting to see that for weeks, and my review for that film is up on my channel. But I still wanted to see The Martian after all this time because it had garnered great buzz, and it just looked like a very exciting movie for two reasons. One, it's a space movie, and as of lately, we have gotten some really fantastic space movies over the past couple of years. Gravity in 2013 and Interstellar from last year. Both films became two of my favorite movies of those respective years. And, of course, this movie is directed by Ridley Scott. This guy needs no introduction. He is a master director, whether he is working in sci-fi like Alien or even historical fiction like Gladiator. Unfortunately, his last few films haven't really held up as well as those masterpieces he has made in the past. But is this an exception, and does it continue the space trend of great films? Let's run down the whole thing. Matt Damon simply delivers one of his best performances in his career yet. I really bought him as this very optimistic and just all the more resourceful astronaut. He really is this very positive guy that not only wants to get the hell out of Mars, but also has a very idealistic way of doing so because he is a botanist and just really has a love for science in wanting to know how he will even leave Mars. I really thought he was very believable and likable. This guy's funny, and that goes into the movie's humor, which I'll get to later on, and I think that Damon's performance is simply superb. As for the rest of the ensemble cast, this is an insanely phenomenal crew of people that have just been assembled to be in this type of movie. And I'm actually going to have to read off of the list of names I have here because I want to give everyone in this movie credit where credit is due. Of course, Damon's performance is superb. We also have Jessica Chastain as the commander of the team that Damon's character was a part of and accidentally left behind. She is excellent. I really love seeing her here. We have Kristen Wiig in a rare dramatic role that not only provides insight on what NASA is doing, but she provides insight on what PR people do just to maintain the image of NASA. I really liked her here. Jeff Daniels in this dramatic role. This is one of the best roles I've ever seen him do in a dramatic sense or in a comedic sense in anything he has done in the past. I really dug him here. Michael Pena continues his likable leading man status in comedy. He's not a big lead here, but I really think that he is just one of the funniest guys ever, and he plays an astronaut that is on the same team as Chastain. We also have Kate Mara as another astronaut. I really enjoyed her presence here. Sean Bean, I really got surprised and caught off guard with him being in this film as a NASA mission director. And he really was a very intriguing character and had some very nice scenes. Sebastian Stan as another astronaut on the same team as Chastain's crew. We have Axel Henny. I apologize if I mispronounced that. He's another astronaut on the same team trying to get Damon back. Chiwetel Ejiofor is another NASA mission director, and he's just a powerhouse actor. And whenever he's on screen too, he's just simply awesome. And we also have Donald Glover, yes, Childish Gambino himself, as a very off-kilter but very intelligent NASA astronomer. And I feel that he had a little bit less to do than all the other characters in this film, but he was very nice to see, and I didn't know he can act. He's actually very funny in this one scene he has when trying to explain what to do to get Damon back. So overall, Well, I would have to say, with this insanely awesome, phenomenal ensemble crew, this is actually my favorite cast of the year so far. Now on to the plot, and while I've never read the book that this movie is based off of, I heard a lot of appeal that went into this book was not only for the story, but also because the movie is rooted in apparently accurate science. I personally cannot speak on that part because I'm not a scientist and I wouldn't know the difference between if a film portrayed it in the right sense or the wrong sense. But from what the movie had to offer, it looked pretty legit, if I would have to say so myself. Don't quote me on that. It's just so fascinating to watch, and this movie's pretty long too, at about 2.5 hours, but wow, my eyes were never off the screen for a second. This movie was just so engaging from beginning to end. This movie is also really funny. I already mentioned that Damon's character is simply a joy to watch, but apparently the book is like this as well throughout. Not just from Damon's very humorous quips, but from the team at NASA and from the Ares command mission. Everyone has something to offer, even if it's a slight humorous take on what their character stands for. And I really enjoyed the lightheartedness that this movie had to bring full circle, as it created a sense of just togetherness that everyone creates, despite their backgrounds. Technical merits all around, this movie is just simply glorious in that matter. The music in this film, while I enjoyed the original score that was looming in the background, I think that the 70s disco music that Damon has to subject himself to throughout some of the sequences on Mars are fittingly well placed in this movie, but it really continued on that lighthearted tone I just mentioned throughout. This movie is just visually brilliant all around, and I believe it blended both CG and practical effects to its advantage, like many films nowadays that are smartly using it. And it showed that with the amount of time, care, and money you would have, this movie looks all the more vibrant just with that. Oh, and by the way, I did see this movie in 3D, and by all means, it is a must that you see this film in that format. And for some reason, space movies usually look great in this technology as well. And while I wouldn't say that The Martian uses 3D to a heavy level like Gravity would, the subtle effects really make you feel like you're within the atmosphere of Mars and just in space in general. The only problem I would have to say that I have with this film is with some of its characters. Not that everyone is poorly acted, no. But I felt there was an imbalance of how much focus was put upon certain groups. There are 3 groups in this movie that the movie jumps back and forth in between. We have Damon's character, of course, the team over at NASA, and the Ares Space Force. And while the NASA and Damon parts are really well realized, I felt there was a lack of depth that would be had with the Ares space mission, because I wanted these characters to be at a bigger focus, as without spoiling anything, they really didn't get that much of a spotlight until about 40 minutes into the movie, where they come into a bigger role, and when they have their biggest role at about the last third of the film. And I felt that these characters were really interesting, genuinely as interesting as the rest of the cast, especially considering that 2 characters on that team are in a relationship, and that is dropped in at the end out of nowhere, much to my surprise. But other than that, I love so many aspects about this movie that just make it pop as a space film, that it also makes it one of the year's best. My final thoughts on this movie are that it is phenomenally acted, smartly written, visually brilliant, especially with 3D, and highly entertaining throughout. This is certainly a return to form for Ridley Scott, as I think this is the best film he has made in years, in my opinion. And it is all helped out by his inspired direction, the ensemble cast that once again is my favorite of the year for all of their excellent turns. The visuals, I still can't get over the visuals. It is funny. The writing is simply engaging to have seen on screen. And the message overall of humans having a sense of togetherness and helping each other out in dire situations is very uplifting. It is an experience you do not want to miss out on. It is one of my favorites of the year without a doubt, and I highly recommend it. My final verdict for The Martian is 4.5 out of 5 stars. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of The Martian, subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.